These are the supplies you will need to make your mask. The printed designed mask fabric, backing fabric, lightweight fusible interfacing, 1/4 inch elastic, standard pony beads if you'd like to make your mask adjustable, a rotary cutter or scissors, a marking pencil, floral wire, and pliers. Step 1 is to cut your backing fabric to a 6.5 by 9 inch rectangle, and also cut a piece of the lightweight fusible interfacing to a 9 by 6.5 piece. I'm going to transfer the pleat marks with a marking pencil to the front of the mask. You could also measure down 1.5 inches to start your first pleat, and the pleats are 1/2 inch pleats. There are 3 of them. Now that I have the pleats marked, I will cut along the cut line of the mask fabric. Now that we have our backing fabric and interfacing cut, we need to fuse them together. So on the wrong side of your backing fabric, lay your interfacing with the fusible bumps down, and then with a hot iron, iron it on. Now we have the mask cut and the backing fabric cut, so we need to sew them together. So with the right sides toward one another, line them up, and then we need to pin. We're going to sew from here to here and here to here, leaving an opening to turn the mask right side out, and also insert our floral wire for the nose. I like to mark with 2 pins where I would like to stop sewing so I don't forget. So now we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on each side will give you a large mask, and if you want a smaller mask you can go 1/2 inch to 5/8 inch seam allowances. Now that we have the top sewn, we need to sew the bottom. So we'll pin that. This time we're going to sew it completely across the bottom. Okay, now we're ready to cut our elastic, and so I have cut 2 pieces of 8-inch long 1/4 inch elastic. And what we first need to do, if you want this to be adjustable, is add beads. So we string 1 bead on to the middle, And then the second bead goes over both ends of the elastic. A little tricky to get them on there. And that's how it will be adjustable. You can pull that bead to the length you need it. Do that on both sides. Now that we have top and bottom sewn, we need to put in the elastic. So you can just use elastic without beads, and then it's just not adjustable as it is with the beads. So what we need to do is just take it and tuck the elastic inside. And we'll take the first end and we're gonna tuck it up close against that seam and pin it. And then we're gonna make sure that we don't twist that elastic, and tuck the other end against the other seam. Pin that. And we'll put one pin right in the middle for good measure. And we'll do it again on the other side. Now we're going to sew these end seams. And remember, large face mask would be 1/4 inch seams, and smaller ones would be 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. We'll go ahead and sew the other side. Now before we turn this right side out, we're going to get rid of some of this bulk, especially in the corners, so that it turns a nice sharp corner. So all I do is I cut diagonally, but not cutting that corner where the two stitch lines meet, and just cut off each of the 4 corners that way. Being careful not to cut too far in, just before that. And now we can turn the mask right side out. Okay, so there's our mask right side out. So the next step is to go press that so our edges are nice and crisp. Now that we've pressed our mask nice and flat and crisp, it is time to sew the casing for our floral wire, which will help keep the mask tight against the bridge of the nose. So to do that, we are going to sew completely from one side to the other a 1/2 inch seam. Now we have our casing with the hole from where we turned it, and we will insert the wire and then sew that shut. Okay, for the floral wire, I have cut a piece, a floral wire 4.5 inches long, and we just need to bend the ends so it doesn't poke its way out of our casing. Let's just take a little turn with our pliers and pinch it down. And now we're going to insert it into this casing. And we're going to sew along that top edge just so the casing's shut. All those snip out. Now that we have our wire inside our casing, I kind of try to adjust that so that it's in the center. You can kind of feel that with your fingers. Slide it around, and I'm going to sew on either end of that wire so it doesn't shift. Being careful not to sew over top of the wire. You just want to encase it. Now we have our wire. Now that we have our casing made and the wire in, it's time to sew the pleats. So we're going to take where those marks were that we made before we cut out the mask, and I'm going to put pins in there so that's a little easier to see to fold those pleats. So once you have that done, then you take and you fold it like that for the first pleat and pin. And then you fold the second one like so. The same thing for the third one. So take out these marker pins so we can see and maybe tidy these up a bit. And there we have 3 pleats for that side of the mask. We do the same thing over here on the other side. This one looks like it needs adjusted just a little bit. It's nice and straight. Okay, and now we're ready to sew around the 3 sides that are left, and those will hold our pleats in place. have a finished mask with adjustable straps.